We are live. This is the market update. I am your host, Bill Noble. Market is taking off, leaving everybody behind. You had what? 3, 4, 6 hours to get involved in this thing before it just took around and left. Classic trend following or trend starting activity. Let me say that again. This is classic trend starting activity. Classic. In other words, it lurches up, surprises everybody, then it dips, makes you feel like you have time, particularly in stuff that's already up 20%. Then the moment it stops and doesn't go any lower, it's off to the races. Literally. Okay. So let's check out who's here. We have Kane first on the stream. Welcome. Miklo, Alexandra, a purple camel, Mahet. Welcome. Right? Oh my God. The green seam candle. People, if you look at this seam coin, when you see this thing go up 60% in one day, this is one of the reasons why I don't like being bearish. Defensive, yes. Bearish, no. Because you can wake up and an entire bear market or an entire correction in a bullish trend can just simply unwind itself. That's what's going on in Arrow. Frankly, that's what's going on in all of these Coinbase alts. So if you sleep on it, you miss it. Also, a note on seam. You know, the seam chart looked so bad. I was like, wow, this thing is really dead. And then boom, it wakes up and goes. Classic case study. Zepedas, Gian, Horace, Lee. Good morning, Kaizen, Brandon, Malik, CB. Welcome. Right? Miguel, Jessica. All right. As a reminder, if you need a roadmap in crypto, stay with this channel. Turn on alerts and keep an eye on Discord so you know when we're going live. And the feedback form is down in the comments below. All right, Thin Bazaar says, Arrow, $1. Let's go. So true. So true. Now, we're going to go over the slide in a moment. I want to talk a few things. Let's talk about debt. Gen Z is out spending, but what kind of spending is it? Sometimes it's spending to feel better because they're so miserable. I've actually seen this with my kid, although, my kid is in medical school. So, recreational spending to make yourself feel better is not new, but it could be pervasive with Gen Z. Now, Zero Hedge is calling it doom spending, which is interesting because of where total credit card debt is. In other words, what do you do before you let them go? Well, you get as much stuff as you can. Also, there are downward revisions coming to GDP. In other words, everyone's been trying to tell you about how great the economy is over the last year and a half has, of course, been false, wrong, inaccurate, numbers cooked. Say what you want. Now, what does this all add up to? Again, this all adds up to lower rates, lower rates, lower rates. It's amazing how people were obsessed with the Fed for so long. And now that the data is validating cut, it's being reflected in gold prices. It's about to be reflected in Bitcoin prices, right? But the media is not talking about it because the Fed and lower rates is what drives alts. Famous trader Stan Druckenmiller, who never had a down year ever in equities, literally used to say, if you can figure out what the Fed's doing, you can figure out the market. In this altcoin universe, with equities as overvalued as they are, there's no stopping this stuff. In many altcoins, you have 40% distance between where the market is right now and where any type of Lux Algo balance zone is. So let's kick into the news. Okay, the Chinese. The Chinese are absolutely not playing around. Every day they're developing news flow, right? Where they go from central bank stimulus to, the actual Politburo, which, that would be the official Communist Party group. They're just done being embarrassed. Not to mention the fact that youth unemployment rate at 30% is unacceptable, and they're just going to print. And they're making it extremely clear that that's what they're going to do, right? Gold hits record, and China is going to do not only monetary policy, but fiscal policy. And you have an AI connected chip stock up. We wish our friends in equities all the best with their moonshot. All this does is create a massive environment for crypto, right? You have equities positive, macro friendly, and crypto massively undervalued. This is the headline about U.S. GDP. Basically, everything you think you know about the U.S. economy is completely wrong. I mean, what you may know about it is correct, but what they're actually reporting is different and has been different. So Uncle Sugar is going to have to come clean right now, and they're probably going to come clean even more in January. All right. So Fed research, this is an older article, but I think it's worth noting that the credit card debt study is not just being done by guys on Twitter. It's the New York Fed. There's several branches of the Fed. There's obviously the main one in Washington, but the New York Fed is where the plunge protection team is. And this is a problem if people just walk away en masse. 2008, the Fed watched kind of a debt train wreck unfold, right? And they may have to sit by and watch this unfold too, right? Because it's credit cards and banks are charging 25%. And no matter what they do with rates, those numbers are not going to change. But this is a serious problem, right? And the Fed has to cut rates to help banks deal with the defaults, period, right? Household debt, as a whole, right? In other words, so it's 111 billion up in credit card and 733 billion, it's just, unlimited debt increases that is not sustainable. So ironically, the general public is spending money on goods and services on credit cards, and what they should be spending money on is Bitcoin. How did boomers get so rich? Okay. Well, I don't know. The Fed printed for 12 years. So you got yourself 1,000x in NVIDIA, literally. And they saved. They 401k'd it. They dollar cost averaged, right? Their houses went up in value. And it was like money into the 401k for years, including 2008, which was a huge shock because everyone's, 401k went down 40%. So how did they get rich? DCA. That's how they did it. I mean, I'm sure he has a much more elaborate explanation, but that is something that you need to remember about crypto. The other thing about it is, if you go back over here for just a second, is that people in equities, like, they love to DCA, but equities never met a market where they would like buy high and sell higher. Right? They were not afraid to FOMO in. And I'm thinking we're starting to get to that point in equities. We're going to go through something in the PowerPoint about what I would call seasonality around the fall equinox. That's just going to knock your socks off. I mean, Bitcoin to a certain degree is already there. Okay. The TON blockchain, hamster combat, right? Airdrop. TON blockchain has been just completely written off. I think TON and Cardano, people just like forgot about it. It was a hype train. It was like, oh my God, this is fundamentally real. Then Telegram got in trouble with the government so they could fall in line and do what every other social media platform has to do. This has nothing to do with the value proposition of this coin. Matter of fact, I'm sitting around wondering when all the US tech companies are going to get payment rails or gaming going on their platforms. I don't know if they're afraid to upset Uncle Sugar, but can you imagine what happens when these Silicon Valley companies start to get involved? I mean, I saw Zuckerberg the other day, demoing the VR glasses. It's like, hey, man, when are you going to get payment networks going on in there? And this is a possible catalyst for 2025 news flow. Okay, PayPal enables business accounts to own crypto, right? In other words, these payment systems, and I even think this is going to happen for the holidays, they can't get crypto payments online fast enough. Okay, so Fed's juice into crypto has analysts eyeing trimming opportunities. The Fed's decision to cut rates was just catching up to market expectations, right? A lot of the added juice was already priced in to riskier assets. Okay, respectfully, I agree with half of that, not all of it. Okay, yes, rate cuts are priced into stocks, but not crypto, right? Crypto benefits from high-powered money that is no doubt coming into the system. So yes, the Fed has finally acknowledged it, but listen to this guy. Oh, it's factored in. It's priced in. There's no rush. I don't have to do it. No. Wrong. Okay. Crypto mining boxes are securities. Okay. There is no end to commentators, like left-wing commentators yesterday were saying Bitcoin was, eating up all the world's electricity. Not true. And again, this minutia about the levels, 61, 62, 64, 63. Yesterday, we talked about if you got a dip to 62, you were lucky, and that's what you got. And down there, everyone hesitated. And then it just turned around and went up, and I'll tell you why in the PowerPoint. It's pretty simple. Okay. Bitcoin forms inverse head and shoulders top. Okay. Very interesting that they're drawing this. Very interesting. In fact, it looks like the cup and handle in gold. Where it's like let me see if I can recreate this using live TA. That's fascinating because I've got something on gold that I think is super interesting that goes along the same lines. So I'm just gonna go like on the fly live TA this head and shoulders. Okay. So here's what they're doing. And these patterns are similar. So this is like a mini TA lesson. They're drawing this. Okay, they're seeing the diamond as a head and shoulders pattern, maybe, right? I'm seeing it differently. Or maybe they're seeing the shoulder over here. That's probably what they're doing. And I think that actually gives you possibly a bigger upside target. And I know these charts are busy, but their version, wow. So the diamond gives you 81K. That's this way. Okay, the head and shoulders gives you 85K. Notice in the title of the article how they don't really talk about what the upside target is, although I'm sure it's somewhere in there. So whether you draw this as a diamond or whether you draw this as a head and shoulders bottom, I see a lot of people trying to make this into a triangle. I don't think that's what it is, right? And I think if we look in gold, we're going to see something very similar and very powerful that's coming up in the PowerPoint. In other words, it's kind of funny that they're just starting now to talk about what happens if Bitcoin takes out all the shorts at 74. I mean, but they're still like, that could happen after the election. No. That could happen now. Okay, more Ethereum FUD. I love this. Ethereum unlikely to hit all-time highs. 85% of poly market traders bet against it. Are those the same poly market traders that said Bowden wasn't going to drop out of the race prior to the debate, even though evidence of his condition was everywhere? I'm going to just give you 2 words. Fade this. Just fade it. Okay. Ethereum is outperforming since the rate cut. Okay. Some experts are looking for massive gains. I really hate when they do cigars. But the bottom line is, you're right. ETH has been outperforming and they're not paying attention. I love this tweet from Ansem. People bearish meme coins long-term are not realizing that Zoomers who spend 90% of their time online have discovered a new internet minigame. The task, make your favorite meme go as viral as possible. The prize, you make $1 million. This trend will also accelerate. Remember the Zoomers doing doom shopping? Guess what their answer to doom shopping is? They're going to go back into this meme coin space, right? When I saw this, I was like, wow, right? This explains why the baby hippo coin, right, went to 100 million. I mean, I saw a famous liberal politician tweeting Mudang memes, and I was like, wow. And I knew this was going. I had a bunch of friends into this. This type of stuff, this type of stuff combined with the Ansem tweet means that people may create memes about celebrities. In other words, Pump.Fun may be stupid, but when you look at it in this social context, the way Ansem is looking at it, you got to be like, wow, right? Wow. Top 3 meme coin predictions. Floki and Nero on Ethereum, right? Also, Popcat. I think it's Popcat and Pepe, right? In other words, Ansem thinks this is not over until Pepe flips Doge. Radical. Or until Whiff flips Sheeb. I mean, there's a lot of room to get that done. Okay, BlackRock is in the house. The Ethereum ETF is also awake, right? Ethereum's changing landscape. Let's write an article about Ethereum that explains why it was down. I don't know why it was down. It was down because there were more sellers than buyers. But I know as gold and silver break out and as this market starts to go with it, in other words, the best case for Ethereum is that everything on the base network, the market is rallying from the bottom up. The bottom up. Okay, Solana can hit $330 and get to 50% of ETH's market cap, according to Van Eck, right? Which is a huge mutual fund company. It's kind of like your dad's mutual fund house, right? Now they're into crypto research. They're publishing stuff. It's pretty good. It's pretty good the way they do stuff because they're making it almost look like stock research for legacy consumption. But yeah, people, Solana is money. And if the Zoomers get involved again and Pump.Fun becomes something constructive instead of this rug chain, that's Solana at 330. Period. I mean, the Solana phone is coming out in March and people act like that's not happening, right? Analysis of Solana Pump as whale interest. It's every day there's a whale selling something. A whale moves their portfolio around. Who cares? Who cares? If whales want to sell into a rising market, are we saying there isn't going to be Bitcoin ETF holders there to take it from them? Oh, please stop it. Now, this Solana partners with the empire. Okay. Web 2 is going to have to figure out how to get involved at Web 3. Wall Street needs a Bitcoin strategy at the end of the year, and so does Silicon Valley. If you don't have one, it's like you're gonna disappear. All right. Let's go to PowerPoint. I have some very, very relevant stuff there. Though sometimes I joke about the one chart market update. It really could be the one chart market update. Welcoming SGSG is here. Welcome. Leo, Warmon, Arendam, Katya. Hello. What's going on? Okay. Now, this matters. Like literally, I think it's this simple. Okay, so we talked about this yesterday. Gold on a quarterly basis. Giant cup and handle, 10 years into making. More than that, 14 years into making. And of course, gold is breaking out. The initial cup and handle target is like $3,000. That's pretty much consensus at this point. You might see a pause in gold at the end of the quarter where people take profits in gold or profits in stocks. And where are they going to move those profits to? Or you could have something called window dressing, which is that people who don't own gold want to show on their quarterly reports that they do. So they buy in at the end of the month, or the end of the quarter. Either way, the bus has left here. Now, if you look at gold versus Bitcoin, so on a quarterly basis, not a lot of Bitcoin history on this particular thing I'm looking at, but it was kind of funny that if I look at the teacup and handle, the last major ramp in Bitcoin kind of came back off because gold didn't go with it. That's just something funny I noticed. I mean, obviously there was more to that, with FTX and all that, but I was like, wow, really? Check this out. Gold didn't go with Bitcoin, so Bitcoin couldn't stay up. Now, what happens if you have gold? These Fibonacci extension levels, in other words, these things are like, if the gold trend becomes epic, where does it go? 3,000, 4,500, 7,800. No doubt, if gold takes out 3,000, you will start to see these targets. And if you start to see these targets, people will be like, I think maybe they're devaluing the dollar through gold. And I'm like, really? You think, huh? Resulting in just epic macro conditions for Bitcoin. Okay, so Bitcoin on a 4-hour chart, there are important lessons here. You get a DeMarc signal. It's a top. You get a little rush higher. You get 1 day of a correction. And then look at these candles. Down, 62 print, back. Zoop. Good luck holding this thing down. You're going to say, I could have bought it in the 60s. Undoubtedly, this is BlackRock. This is all the big Wall Street players. Like, you guys want to give us a dip? Great. ETH, the same thing. If anything, ETH is a bird on a wire getting ready to fly on a 4-hour chart. And these ETH tops, like the ETH top was pretty good on DeMarc, and these corrections are just like, right? It's just these type of corrections. I mean, it's a perfect A, B, C. It's perfect looking, right? But it wears you out, right? Everybody who bought ETH after this kind of like 4-hour God candle, they lost money. Every time ETH goes up, they just turn around and stop everyone out. Eventually, that's going to end, and here's why. So the fall equinox was the 22nd. That's the official change in seasons. In Gann work, I don't know. Full moons, eclipses, changes in the seasons, equinoxes, they matter as seasonal points. So generally speaking, October is constructive, September is negative. So, it's always interesting to do the seasonal work. And what I did with my historical data machine is I said, okay, take the equinox and go out 3 days. So 3 days after the equinox, how does Bitcoin do? So this column are all the dates of 3 days after the equinox. Note they're all like the 25th and 26th of September. And then we can look at Bitcoin returns out 5 days. So here's the date. How does Bitcoin do 5, 20, and 40 days in the future? Well, what you know, Bitcoin is always up 5 days after the equinox. If you look over the last 10 years, the average is 3.4%. Market's already up 2% this morning, right? If you look at a monthly, if you look at like the next 20 days, right, which isn't a month, but you know, if you look at 20 days out, Bitcoin is up 9 times out of 10 or 8 times out of 9. The average rally is 14%. If you look out 40 days, which would take you to Thanksgiving, the average rally is 34%. You did 33% in 2023, 12% during the FTX year, 43% in 2021, 32% in 2020. And of course, you did 87% in 2017 when they were printing Tether. In this case, they're probably going to use tokenized treasuries to borrow stable coins, and you're going to have the PayPal stablecoin involved. You have massive liquidity coming into the crypto ecosystem. And even if Bitcoin doesn't go up 30% between now and Thanksgiving, but you know, Ethereum altcoins have a massive catch-up rally to do. Massive. This is the one chart market update. In other words, if you bought it 3 days after the equinox and rode it until Thanksgiving, even in bear markets like 2018, the worst case scenario was the market was unchanged. That's the worst case scenario. And that's the market update. All right, let's see what we got going on in the chat. Let's just go to some live TA on Coinbase. Bill, when you have a moment, can we look at True? Certainly. Okay. So as you can probably see on your screen, you know, Coinbase alts are absolutely smoking, right? There isn't a Coinbase alt that isn't rampaging right now, like 6, 7, 8, 9%. I mean, Near alone is up 9% today. You're not going to stop this. It's just not. Okay. So this is True. Okay. Me and the Eagle King behind the scenes discovered that there is a word that I use all the time that apparently can get you in trouble with YouTube. So one of the things that is important to see in True is that everyone gave up down here. Everyone gave up. Now you have a head and shoulders bottom formation with an upward sloping neckline. Now, when you have an upward sloping neckline on a head and shoulders pattern, that's pretty rare. What will happen is if it breaks out and you don't get much of a retracement, in other words, if True does this, takes out like 11 cents, it can just absolutely keep going. I think the eventual upside target in True could be as high as 12 cents. You know, and True, you know, outperformed for a long time, but if you look at the 4-hour chart, it just came back down into this base area. I mean, you know, Lux Algo put this whole floor underneath it. It rallied in September and then unwound it all, making a perfect looking head and shoulders bottom. I mean, all of these coins in Coinbase, like even like SUI is the only one that's not up, right? And I have one more sort of sentiment thing that I want to share. I looked at this last night and I was like, I'm seeing a crypto influencer trend. Okay, well, first of all, there's a lot of people bragging about SUI, right? Which would probably account for the pause. But I thought this was funny, and I saw something else. So BitBoy writes, it's pretty cool that everyone wants to be in the influencer fights now. So just think, if I got knocked out instead of knocked down in 20 seconds, where would crypto fighting be right now? I also saw another crypto influencer publishing something like, here I am at the beach. If crypto influencers don't have anything to talk about and all they want to talk about is going to the beach and fighting, even though I think these people, like getting in shape and doing that stuff is great. But if crypto influencers don't have anything to talk about, it's a bottom. It's a bottom. Then the market starts to rally. And what are we talking about? We're not talking about crypto. We're not. Or we're so used to the bear market that we're still talking about like the residual, let's keep ourselves occupied stuff prevails. And that, of course, means, to me, it just means the bull market is on and is going to only rampage from here. So, dips are to get involved. Moonwell on Coinbase. And of course, there's the obvious thing that, if you have Coinbase and Base leading, right? Okay, so this is Moonwell on a 15-minute basis on Coinbase. See everybody down here packing it in? Everybody sold. Luxalgo comes in with a buy point on the first uptick, breaking a trend line, off to the races. Off to the races, right? All right, people, listen. Dips won't last long. I think we're at the point where you don't have to be afraid to buy into a rising market, particularly in stuff like Bitcoin, Ethereum, and so on. Like the big coins, they haven't even moved yet. And I also think there's possibility for something like, with some real punch, for Bitcoin to go to 70 in like one day, given the right macro circumstance. It could be over the weekend. We'll see. I will see you tomorrow.